Today we're going to be talking about brand new 2024 releases today, okay? I think a few of these that we've gotten this year are going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I mean that in the terms of they're not going to be forgotten. You know, these have already started off pretty good. They've gotten a lot of hype, but I don't think it's going to be fleeting. I think these are going to join some other popular scents, and they're going to be talked about for 10, 15, 20 plus years from now. However, it's not all good. We have had a few releases this year that are a little bit underwhelming, and we'll talk about those as well. So we'll start off with the good, some unforgettable fragrances that are just going to do very well for years to come. The first one is the brand new Jean Paul Gaultier Les Beaux Paradise Garden. It's got coconut, fig, watery notes, and mint. Smells fantastic. I mean, this one came to market and immediately took off big time. I mean, just a lot of attention, a lot of positive reviews, a lot of people just trying to pick up a bottle of this so they can smell it too. And that's typically what happens, especially with new releases, is that they can be hard to find sometimes when they first come out, not only in terms of retail, which can be that way sometimes, but below retail, discounters. Now, this is one of those bizarre instances, although becoming more common, where this was available on discounters first. And then now even, I still don't even know if this is available at retail in the US yet. You know, even if you wanted to pay full retail for it, I'm not so sure you can do that right now easily. But this one, it's hot. But I love it. It's really, really good because it's quite a bit fresher than the original and the Les Parfums. Both of those I would consider to be, you know, summer-oriented scents, but they are much sweeter than your typical summer fragrance. You know, the Eau de Toilette still has the coconut, the sweet notes, the pineapple. The Les Parfums, similar deal, still has that kind of base overall with the coconut sweetness and tonka and all of that stuff. They just kind of are like a summer gourmand. You know, this one's using the mint, it's using the coconut and the fig to give it that summery feel, but with a green, brighter touch with some watery notes or, you know, aquatic notes, whatever you want to call them. I believe there's like a salt note in here too, like a sea salt note. So they are freshening this one up quite a bit, actually making it really good for spring and even into summer as well. So like I said, it started off strong, and I think it's going to stay that way for quite a while. I don't foresee this one just dropping off and going, you know, irrelevant anytime soon. I mean, even look at Les Beaux Les Parfums, which has been out for a while now, and it's still super hard to secure. Every time that one pops up on discounters, it's almost an immediate sellout. I mean, people are looking for that stuff left and right, and the reviews on that one overall are very high and very positive. It is a good scent, and I think this one, it has what it takes to be like that or potentially even better given the added freshness and usability that this one has. And also, it's not like the Le Male line is no stranger to being just, you know, bestsellers and being coveted and loved, you know, across the community over the course of several years, going all the way back to the original Le Male. You know, you've got things like Popeye, Superman Eau Fresh, which are still talked about these days, and how much we want it to be back. Ultra Male, Le Male Les Parfums, and so on. So they know what they're doing with these, and I think this one is going to do very well for years to come. Next up, Hugo Boss Bottled Elixir. This is one of their best works ever. I mean, out of all of the Hugo Boss fragrances that I have and that I've smelled, which is, you know, most of them, at least all the major ones, except for maybe a few cheapies and stuff when you get into, you know, the canteen bottles and stuff. But for the most part, man, I've tried them all, and this is one of their best ones. It's phenomenal, and especially at the price that it comes in at, being an elixir, it's a really good deal. It's got frankincense, patchouli, cedarwood, labdanum, and some cardamom in here. Nice, smoky, rich, spicy, warm, sexy scent with a kind of a mysterious nighttime edge. Love how it smells. Nice, creamy undertone too. This is everything that I would want in an elixir scent and more. You know, this one's also coming in at around $80 right now on discounters. Fragrance Buy had a sale just over the past weekend. You could get it for $60 for 100 ml. That's just insane to me. And again, going rate is about 80, so still very reasonable. I mean, take a look at all of the other elixir fragrances out there. They're in the mid $100 range, even on discounters. and, you know, taking price out of it, taking everything else out of the equation and just focusing on the scent, it really stands out, especially when you compare it to the others within this lineup. It doesn't really smell all that similar. Like they've really taken this one and removed it from the Hugo Boss bottled line, and they did their own thing here. It doesn't have the apple, cinnamon that, you know, Boss Bottled Intense, Boss Bottled Oud is known for. It really is a different and unique approach. You know, some might say that this one is too different, you know, as far as what your preference is for a flanker. Do you want it to kind of have a little bit of a similarity to the original and then do its own thing? Do you want it to be very similar with minor differences, or do you want it to be completely different? Everybody has their own opinion and preference on how a flanker would be constructed. I think this one really goes in a further away direction, which I'm not always crazy about, but in this case, we got such a masterpiece out of it that I don't care. So yeah, I can see this one being kind of like Boss Bottled Intense, you know, in the fact that it's just gonna be very popular, very sought after and coveted. Even if it were to ever get discontinued like Boss Bottled Intense, I could see this one still being loved for years to come. And I hope it doesn't get discontinued, at least not anytime soon, but you just never know, right? You don't know what the future holds with the pace that these brands are putting out flankers. But I think this one's gonna be remembered for a long time. And last up for the loved fragrances of the year, the new ones so far. L'Homme Idéal Parfum by Guerlain. I think this one is going to do very well. I think it might have what it takes to kind of, you know, hang out with L'Homme Idéal Extreme / Parfum, or / Eau de Parfum, I should say. Those two, I think, I don't know, it almost seems like they're tied in terms of popularity because they're both pretty well sought after in the community. Hear about them all the time. And for me, I love them both, and they almost go hand in hand. It's hard to choose a favorite. It really is. I think they're both pretty popular within the community. You know, when you can get each of those for around $100 a piece, it's a great fragrance for the price. I mean, they both are very unique in their own way. And part of what I think made them so popular at the time was that they were hard to get for a while. You know, they weren't discontinued or anything, but discounters didn't have them. It was hard to get them at retail, and it was kind of like when you can't have something, you want it more type of deal. And I think that contributed to the success a little bit. But even now that they're both readily available, they're still just really good, really popular scents. And I think this one might have what it takes to kind of achieve that effect as well. You know, I think once more people can get their hands on this one, once it hits discounters more frequently, once you can even buy it at retail, you know, if you want to go that direction, I think people will realize it's a really, really solid release that makes a lot of sense. It's got almond, amaretto, leather, and patchouli. So sticking with that almond note that carries throughout the entire line, giving it that unique smell, you're getting a boozy note alongside of it, which is the first that we've had within this lineup. You know, we've had tobacco, we've had plum, we've had fresh versions, cologne, cool, platine privé, sport even, right? We've had all of those. Now we finally got one with a bit of an alcohol characteristic, which smells really nice. It just kind of adds to that classiness that this one has, and that kind of character, that personality that just smells premium. You know, it really amplifies that here. This would be a great evening out scent in the fall, winter time for a date, for a dinner, something like that. And then of course you can wear it during the day as well. There's going to be a lot of uses out of this one for it once it cools down. And again, I personally think this one has what it takes to just be a big statement maker and really kind of make a big name for itself in the community, and maybe even outside of the community too, because it still has a pretty good mass appeal to it. It's not like, you know, too far niche or anything. I mean, this is very wearable, and I think a lot of people will be able to appreciate it and pull it off. So yeah, you know, I might be missing some things. I mean, there have been several more new releases than that this year so far. We're over halfway through the year now at this point, so we've had quite a few. But as far as, you know, releases that I think are going to be unforgettable and that are going to make a big statement, those are kind of the three that I'm leaning towards right now, you know, and I think that maybe that says something, because there's a lot of other new ones that I really love, and I think they're great, but I think these are going to have the best chance of just, you know, really putting their footprint down in the community for the long run. Now we're going to get into three more that I think could be forgotten about. I don't really see these doing all that well, maybe doing big things. I could see these just kind of being swept under the rug at some point. The first one is Lattafa Assad Zanzibar. You know, this is, you know, a flanker of Assad, right? Obviously, okay? However, it smells nothing like Lattafa Assad, which means that it smells nothing like Dior Sauvage Elixir, right? Because that's what Lattafa Assad is a clone of. And going into this one, I wasn't really sure what to expect. And I mean, you can go back and watch my first impressions on camera, or if it wasn't a first impressions, I think it was. It's either that or a review. But I've covered this one already. I can't figure it out. It's got coconut water, vanilla, and iris. I just can't really get down with this one. I don't like it a ton. It does have maybe a little bit of a resemblance to Les Beaux, Les Parfums, a little bit from that coconut kind of sweetness going on, but it's definitely not a straight up clone of that. It's quite a bit different than that too. It just has some aspects that remind me of it a little bit. It's got kind of like a slight Invictus-y bubblegummy sweetness too. It's just interesting. It's a combination effect. And this is not the first time that this has happened from a clone brand. You know, take a look at something like, and I used this description when I was talking about this one in the video. Afnan 9 p.m. and Afnan 9 a.m. dive. You know, Afnan 9 p.m. is an ultra male clone. Afnan 9 a.m. dive is not really a clone of anything in particular. It's just kind of a conglomerate of a bunch of other common smells. That's kind of what this one is to me. It's not a clone of any one thing. It just kind of is pulling inspiration from several things. And for me, it's not something that I really find that I would gravitate towards a whole lot. If it was a straight up clone of Les Beaux, Les Parfums, and you know it did a good job at it, of course I would love it because now you've got an affordable, easy to get alternative. It's not the case though. I don't see this one doing all that well in the grand scheme of things, and I can almost bet with 100% certainty that this will not take off like Lattafa Assad did. I mean, that one went crazy, and it makes sense given it's a really accurate Sauvage Elixir clone. Next up, we have Narciso Rodriguez Vetiver Musk coming in at an eau de toilette concentration. So it's got vetiver and musk, obviously. You get some cypress in here too, and some other aromatic notes, lavender and you know, some other woods going on as well, maybe a bit of citrus. But it really, I mean, you know, vetiver and musk, that's essentially what it is. And it's not all that exciting, not all that fun. I just can't come up with a whole lot of things to say about this one. It's not that exciting, you know. The Parfum version, Blue Noir Parfum, is fantastic, using some iris in there with that existing Blue Noir DNA, which already focuses on vetiver and musk a lot to begin with. And that's my other gripe about this one. You know, take a look at all of the others. They're using woods, they're using musk, some vetiver too in those. And now you come out with a standalone that's called Vetiver Musk, which all of the others are already kind of using. You know, a lot of the others are focused heavily on musk and woody notes. It's bizarre. It'd be like Dior Homme coming out with, you know, Dior Homme Iris, right? Even though all the other ones are kind of using iris, and that's why they're popular, now you're putting out a standalone flanker that is featuring iris like it's something different. It's a weird scenario with this one. And, you know, if it was maybe a more of a summer version, which we already have the Eau de Toilette Extreme, but I don't know. I think they could have gone a different direction with this one way or another. I think this is kind of more or less going to be a throwaway scent. And I don't mean that literally, but it's just, it doesn't make sense. If you could get this for, you know, $35 or $40 or something super, super cheap, it might be a good everyday signature scent that you can just spray on heavily and not worry about. But to go out there and pay retail for this like I did, I wouldn't do it. Last up for the video, we have Ralph Lauren Polo 67. So, you know, they're putting out polo scents a lot. Polo red, polo blue, all of that stuff. Of course, the Ralph's Club, different line, but they're pushing those pretty hard too. This one, it's another okay release. It smells nice. I mean, it's clean, it's fresh, it's a good compliment getter, it's very wearable, but it's forgettable at the same time. It's got bergamot, lemon, pineapple, some aromatic notes, no surprise, right? I mean, it's something that you could make it your signature scent. You could wear it every day. You could get a ton of compliments doing so, but if you didn't wear it again, you probably wouldn't think of it again. Like, this is something that could get buried in the back of my collection and to never be seen again. It kind of has a little bit of a YSL-Y Invictus-y, bubblegummy sweetness to it, which is common, very trendy these days. But there are so many things out there that smell like that, I don't see a lot of a use for this one. I mean, personally, I would even just say to jump over to the Ralph's Club lineup. That makes more sense. And you know, depending on the pricing and what you're getting, they should be roughly the same. You know, Ralph's Club Elixir is going to be a little bit more expensive right now. Ralph's Club Parfum will be a little bit more expensive than the Eau de Parfum. But I think those might be a better choice than something like this to me. If you have this and it's something you wear and it's your signature scent, that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But to seek it out, you know, and to really make it a top priority to get, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't see this one, you know, making a big statement for itself. I think this one will just kind of end up getting silently discontinued at some point and then on to the next. Alrighty guys, there you have it. We've got a few new fragrances that I think will never be forgotten. They'll be loved and cherished for years, and I think they'll be highly sought after for quite a while. And we've also got a few that I think will be forgotten about, maybe just are a bit more underwhelming. A lot of fragrances out there, guys. New ones, old ones, right? Flankers, things coming and going all the time. It can be hard to keep up with. It can be hard to figure out what you want to buy. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea and helps you steer the ship a little bit as far as, you know, maybe what new releases you would want to invest in. The year's not over yet, obviously. This is only accurate as of right now. You know, if something new comes out in 2 months and you're watching this 2 months from now, of course, this is going to be void, right? And I'll probably do a video like this at the very end of the year as a recap. But as of right now, this is where we're at. I will link all these down below. You know, for rare ones like Labo Paradise Garden, if you jump on my mailing list and texting list at the link and number down below, anytime stuff like that comes into stock, I send out an email, right? It's completely free to sign up, and you get those notifications from me, and then you'll be able to have the opportunity to make that purchase if you want before it sells out. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.